last time you got a raise. Maybe it was a $5,000 bump. Maybe it was $10,000. Maybe you finally landed that promotion you had been grinding toward for 2 years straight. You remember that feeling, right? That rush of relief, that sense that things were finally about to change. You were going to pay off that credit card. You were going to start investing. You were going to stop living paycheck to paycheck. And then 3 months later, you checked your bank account and you thought, wait, where did all of it go? Because here is the dirty truth that nobody in finance will say out loud. Getting a raise, for most people, does not build wealth. It just funds a more expensive version of being broke. And the reason this keeps happening to you has nothing to do with discipline, willpower, or how hard you work. It is something far deeper, far more invisible, and until you understand it, no amount of income will ever be enough. My name is Victor, and I spend more time than I probably should studying why people who earn more money somehow end up with less of it. If you have ever wondered why your finances feel exactly the same as they did 2 years ago, despite earning significantly more, make sure you stay with me, because we are about to pull back the curtain on the exact psychological and mathematical trap that is quietly destroying your financial future. Before we get into the mechanics, let me ask you something honest. When you picture a wealthy person, what do you see? Someone born into money? Someone with a 6-figure salary? Someone who got lucky with crypto or stocks? Here's what the research actually shows. The single biggest predictor of wealth is not income. It is the gap between what you earn and what you spend. And that gap, for most people, stays almost perfectly constant, no matter how much their salary grows. Economists call this phenomenon lifestyle inflation, but that name does not capture how psychologically destructive it really is. It is not just inflation. It is a complete rewiring of your financial identity that happens so gradually you never even notice it is occurring. Here is why your brain does this. There is a concept in behavioral economics called hedonic adaptation, which is just a scientific way of saying your brain gets bored of everything. The apartment that felt luxurious when you first moved in now feels ordinary. The car that made you feel successful last year now just feels like your car. Your brain is constantly recalibrating what feels normal, what feels comfortable, and what feels like not enough. And the moment your income increases, your brain immediately starts recalibrating your expectations upward to match it. This is not a character flaw. This is evolutionary software that helped your ancestors survive scarcity. When resources became available, you consumed them immediately because there was no guarantee tomorrow would bring more. Your brain is still running that same ancient program, and in a world where you can upgrade your phone, move to a nicer apartment, or finance a better car the exact same week your raise hits your account, that ancient software is absolutely devastating to your financial future. But here is where it gets even more interesting. The lifestyle inflation trap is not driven by what you actually want. It is driven by something called relative deprivation, which is the psychological pain of feeling like you have less than the people around you. When your income goes up, you naturally shift social circles. You start spending time with people who earn what you now earn. And suddenly, your old apartment, your old car, your old habits, they start to feel inadequate. Not because they actually are, but because your reference point has shifted. The person making $40,000 who lives in a modest apartment feels fine. The person making $90,000 who lives in that same modest apartment, surrounded by colleagues with nicer cars and fancier vacations, starts to feel like they are falling behind. And the spending follows the feeling almost every single time. There is also a concept called mental accounting, first described by the behavioral economist Richard Thaler, that makes this trap even more powerful. Your brain does not process all money the same way. Money from your paycheck before a raise felt scarce and precious. But money from a raise feels different. It feels like extra, like bonus, like reward. So your brain puts it into a completely different mental account, one that does not have the same psychological rules as your regular budget. You would never spend your grocery money on a last-minute flight, but your raise money, that goes into the mental category of things I finally deserve. And the spending that follows reflects exactly that. You do not save the raise, you spend the raise. And because it happens gradually, you never even feel it happening. Now let us talk about the math, because this is where things stop being fiery and start being genuinely alarming. Let us say Victor earns $60,000 per year and spends $55,000, saving $5,000 annually. Over 10 years, with a conservative 7% annual return, that grows to roughly $69,000. Not world-changing, but it is something. Now Victor gets a raise to $75,000. If Victor saved the same percentage as before, his savings should jump to around $6,250 per year. But what actually happens in the majority of cases is that spending rises to match the income. Victor moves to a nicer apartment, adds a car payment, starts eating out more regularly, takes a better vacation. Now Victor is spending $70,000 and saving only $5,000. Same dollar amount saved, $15,000 more earned. And zero additional wealth being built. The raise evaporated completely into lifestyle. Over 30 years, the compounding difference between someone who saves 15% of every raise versus someone who saves nothing from their raises is not a small number. It is the difference between retiring comfortably and working until you physically cannot anymore. Here is the part that makes this mathematically catastrophic over time. Compound growth does not care how much you earn. It only cares about how much you put in and how long it has to grow. Every dollar you redirect into lifestyle inflation instead of investment is not just $1 lost. It is every dollar that dollar would have generated across your entire investment timeline. A $200 monthly lifestyle upgrade at age 30 costs you approximately $24,000 in direct spending over 10 years. But at a 7% annual return, that same $200 per month invested would have grown to nearly $34,500 over that same decade. And if left untouched until retirement, it becomes something entirely different. Small numbers become massive numbers over time. That is the math that lifestyle inflation is quietly destroying for millions of people every single year. But here is where everything can shift. And this is the part most financial advice completely misses. You cannot fight lifestyle inflation with willpower alone. Telling yourself you will just resist the urge to upgrade is like trying to hold your breath underwater through sheer determination. Eventually, the pressure wins. The real solution is not restriction, it is redirection. And the difference between those two words is the difference between financial failure and financial freedom. Redirection works like this. The moment your income increases, before your brain has a chance to recalibrate your lifestyle expectations, you automate the difference into savings and investment. You never see it. You never feel like you are missing it. Your lifestyle stays exactly where it was, while your wealth quietly begins to compound in the background. This is not a new idea, but the psychology behind why it works so effectively is deeply fascinating. When money is automatically redirected before it hits your spending account, your brain never categorizes it as available resources. It never enters the mental account labeled "things I can enjoy now." It simply does not exist in your spending psychology. Over time, your lifestyle adjusts downward slightly to fill the available income, rather than upward to consume the new income. And your future self receives something priceless, which is compounding wealth that your present self never had to sacrifice a single lifestyle moment to create. Here is how to actually make this work in practical terms. Step 1. Claim the raise before you feel it. The same week a raise goes into effect, log into your employer's payroll system or your bank account and increase your automatic investment contribution by at least 50% of the raise amount. If your raise is $500 per month, redirect $250 directly into your retirement account or investment account before it ever touches your checking account. You still get a lifestyle bump from the remaining $250, but half of every raise is now permanently building wealth. Step 2. Conduct a subscription audit every 6 months. Pull up your bank statement and highlight every recurring charge. streaming services, gym memberships, apps, subscription boxes, everything. Studies consistently show the average person underestimates their recurring subscriptions by 40%. You are not aware of what you are spending because these charges are designed to feel invisible. Make them visible. Cancel anything you cannot remember using in the last 30 days. Redirect those dollars automatically into an index fund. Step 3, create a lifestyle upgrade fund that is separate from your investment fund. When you genuinely want to upgrade something, you save intentionally for it inside a separate account labeled exactly what it is for. This does 2 things. First, it slows down impulsive lifestyle upgrades because the friction of intentional saving forces you to evaluate whether you actually want the thing. Second, it eliminates the pattern of unconscious lifestyle creep because your investment contributions are locked in automatically and cannot be rated for spontaneous upgrades. Step 4, apply the 24-hour compounding question to every discretionary purchase over $100. Before buying, ask yourself, if I invested this amount at 7% annually for 20 years, what would it become? A $300 purchase becomes nearly $1,200 in future wealth. A $1,000 purchase becomes approximately $3,870. This is not about feeling guilty for spending money. It is about making the opportunity cost visible in a way your brain can actually process. Once compound growth becomes emotionally real to you, rather than just mathematically real, your spend decisions change permanently. Step 5. Automate an annual savings rate increase on a fixed date every year, regardless of whether your income increased. Set a calendar reminder for the same date each year to increase your investment contribution by $50 per month. No willpower required, no lifestyle sacrifice required, just a small, automatic annual ratchet upward that compounds quietly in the background while you live your normal life. Here is the mindset reframe that ties all of this together. Most people think about wealth as what they own: the car, the apartment, the clothes, the vacations. But every dollar spent on things that depreciate is buying you a smaller and smaller life in the future. Every dollar invested is buying you choices, the ability to say no to a job that drains you, the ability to take a risk on something that excites you, the ability to stop working on someone else's schedule and start living on your own terms. The raise was never going to change your life by itself. Raises do not build wealth. Habits build wealth. And the most powerful habit you will ever develop is the one that makes your savings rate rise every single time your income rises, so that the gap between what you earn and what you spend quietly and permanently widens with every passing year. You have earned more than you had before. Now make sure the future version of you gets to keep it. The choice about who benefits from your next raise, your lifestyle today, or your freedom tomorrow, is one you are making right now, whether you realize it or not.